welcome to the optical fiber communication. In today's lecture, we will see the total internal reflection considering wavefronts of the light. Wavefronts are nothing but constant phase planes of the light wave, and they are perpendicular to the propagation of the light at every point. So as you can see, there are two types of sources. One is having spherical wavefronts and one is having plane wavefronts. So the spherical wavefronts will cause the light to be spread in all the directions. But because of the plane wavefront, the light will not be spread, but it will travel in same direction. So the example of this is LED, that is light emitting diode. An example for the plane wavefront you can consider as a laser. That's why it is possible to point at a longer distance using the laser. Again, it is suitable for the long distance communication as the light will not be spread. So now, considering the phase fronts of the light, we can study the total internal reflection. Now consider the core having refractive index N1, cladding having refractive index N2. Now when a ray is incident and strikes the core cladding boundary, the ray will be reflected because of total internal reflection. So if we consider incident ray, there will be phase fronts which are traveling towards the core cladding boundary, and for reflected wave, the wavefronts will move away from this boundary. So as shown in the figure, there are two types of lines, one green lines and another is shown by red lines. Two green lines indicate the difference between them is 2 pi, or the difference between two red lines is 2 pi, and if we consider one red line and one green line, then the phase difference between them is pi. Now as you can see in the diagram, when two red phase fronts meet together, they will have a constructive interference. Or when two green lines meet together, again there will be a constructive interference. Because of the constructive interference, there will be maximum light intensity, or we can say that point will be more bright. It is shown by the dark red circles. Similar way, when one red line and one green line meet together, there will be destructive interference. And because of destructive interference, the light intensity will be very less. That is called as a dark spot. So because of this constructive and destructive interference, there will be standing wave-like pattern inside core. Now let's see what is the constructive and destructive interference. To understand that, consider the two rays, one is incident wave and one is a reflected wave. Now here we have to consider one term, that is phase difference, which is given by 2 pi by lambda into path difference. Now path difference is the distance travelled by the wave in one cycle. If we measure the distance in terms of wavelength or lambda, that is called as a path difference. When any ray completes one cycle, the distance travelled by the wave is 1 lambda. Or when a wave completes one cycle, there is a phase difference of 2 pi. So if we consider two waves, then if their starting point is same as shown in the figure, they will have zero phase in between them. And because of that, the maxima of the incident wave will coincide with maxima of the reflected wave. So they will get added and we have what is called a constructive interference. Because of constructive interference, the point will be more bright. So in this case, we can define the phase condition as if the incident and reflected wave have phase difference of 0 degree, then there will be constructive interference. Let's shift this reflected wave by 1 lambda, that is shifting the wave by 2 pi radian. Now we can see the phase difference between incident and reflected wave is now 2 pi radian. Again, if you observe, their maxima are coinciding with each other, they will get added, and again we will get a constructive interference. So we can say if the phase difference between two waves is 2 pi, then also there will be constructive interference. Again, if I shift by one more lambda, then the phase difference between the two waves will be 4 pi. Again, the maxima are coinciding with each other and will get added. What we have is a constructive interference. So the condition in this case, the phase difference should be equal to 4 pi. So in general, we can say if I keep on shifting by 4 pi, 6 pi, 8 pi and so on, there always will be constructive interference. Now let's see the another case. Consider the reflected wave is shifted by lambda by 2 or pi radian. So we can say the phase difference between incident and reflected wave is now pi radian. If you observe in this case, the maxima of the incident wave is coinciding with the minima of the reflected wave, and because of this the intensity will be reduced. So that we define as a destructive interference, and that is called as a dark spot. So we can define the condition for destructive interference. The phase difference between the two waves should be equal to pi. Now let's again shift by one more lambda. So in this case, the total phase difference between incident wave and reflected wave is 3 pi. Again, if you observe, the maxima of the incident wave will get added with the minima of the reflected wave. Again, there will be destructive interference. So we can define condition in this case is phase difference is 3 pi. So in general, we can say if the phase difference between the two waves is pi, 3 pi, 5 pi, 7 pi and so on, there will be destructive interference. So the condition for constructive interference can be expressed as the phase difference should be multiple of 2 pi, where m can take only integer values, or we can say there will be constructive interference if the phase difference is even multiple of pi, that is 0, 2 pi, 6 pi and so on. So the condition for destructive interference is the phase difference should be odd multiple of pi, like pi, 3 pi, 5 pi, 7 pi and so on, where m can take values 0, 1, 2, 3 and so on. Remember, m can take only integer values. So now by applying this concept, let us consider this wave now. The incident wave will have phase fronts. So red, green lines indicate the phase fronts. and difference between them will decide whether there is a constructive or destructive interference. So when the ray is reflected from the core cladding boundary, at the reflection point there will be some phase change, and because of this phase change there will be constructive and destructive interference. This phase change depends on the refractive index of core, refractive index of cladding, the wavelength of the light, and few other parameters. Now whenever there is a constructive interference and destructive interference inside core, the pattern of maxima and minima will be created. So these intensity patterns are called as standing wave patterns. Again, if you observe inside cladding, the field is not equal to 0. There is some field which is decaying in nature, but still it is present inside the cladding, and that field is called as a evanescent field. Now if you remember the ray theory, it states that any ray which is incident within the acceptance angle cone, the ray will undergo total internal reflection. That means the entire ray will be reflected. There is no any penetration inside cladding. But if we consider these wave fronts, we can observe that there will be some field penetration inside cladding, and that field penetration is given by wave theory of the light. So in that case we need to consider light as a wave, not as a ray. So now if we come back to this, we can say because of these constructive and destructive interference, we get different patterns inside core. Now if we consider the ray is incident within the acceptance angle, but there is no any constructive interference, there is only destructive interference, then definitely that light is not going to propagate through the fiber. So because of this phase change, there will be constructive and destructive interference. So let's find the condition for the wave so that it can propagate through the fiber. Remember, the two similar colored lines indicate phase difference of 2 pi, and two dissimilar color line indicates phase shift of pi. So if same colored waveforms or wavefronts meet together, there will be constructive interference, and when two dissimilar color wavefronts meet each other, there will be destructive interference. Now let's define this condition for constructive and destructive interference inside core. Consider the core having refractive index n1, cladding refractive index n2, and the diameter of core is given by d. Now there are two parallel rays, ray 1 and ray 2, which are incident inside the core. Ray 1 is reflected from point A, ray 2 is reflected at point D. In this case, the dotted lines indicate the phase fronts or wave fronts of the rays. The wavefront AE, as shown in figure, is common to ray 1 and ray 2, because what we define as a wavefront is a line perpendicular to the direction of propagation of the light ray. So as you can see, ray 1 and ray 2 are parallel to each other. The wavefront AE is common to ray 1 as well as ray 2. There is another wavefront DB, which is common for the ray 2 and the reflected ray BF. Since again these two are parallel, they will have a common wavefront DB. So you can again observe one more case, that ray 2 will have two wavefronts, one is AE and another is DB. So if we consider the condition for constructive interference, the phase difference between these two should be multiple of 2 pi. Or in another word, we can say the total phase change occurred in traveling the distance s1 and the phase change occurred during the traveling distance s2, that should be multiple of 2 pi. So now let's do some mathematics to find the condition for this phase change. Now when the ray is reflected at point A, there will be one phase change, and again when it is reflected at point B, there will be another phase change. So considering this geometry, let's write the equation for phi 1. Let phi 1 is the phase change occurred while traveling the distance s1. Now when ray 1 is incident at point A, let that phase change is delta. Again it is reflected at point B, there is also phase change of delta, and when the ray travels along the distance s1, the phase change will be beta into s1. So the total phase change in traveling the distance s1 will be beta s1 plus 2 delta. Similar way we can find the phase change occurred in traveling the distance s2, that is beta s2, where beta is called the propagation constant given by 2 pi by lambda into n1. Beta multiplied by the distance travelled will give phase change occurred in traveling that distance. So the condition for sustained constructive interference is that the difference between phi 1 and phi 2 should be integer multiple of 2 pi. So if I put the values of phi 1 and phi 2 in the equation, I will get the equation beta s1 minus s2 plus 2 delta equal to 2m pi. Again if I substitute value of beta, I will get this equation. So actually this is the required phase condition to be satisfied by the ray 1 and ray 2, so that there will be constructive interference. Now this is in terms of the distance s1 and s2. We need to find the condition on angle theta. So let's define this s1 by considering the triangle AKB. Remember, the diameter is nothing but height of this triangle, that is d. So I can consider the red triangle AKB. We will get the distance s1 as d by sin theta. Same way, by considering the triangle ACD, that is shown in yellow color, we can write for the s2 as AD cos of theta. Now let's find this AD. If you project the AD on the other side, AD is same as KL. So we can write KL as KB minus LB. So I can write the equation for AD as KB minus LB. Again to find KB, we can consider the right angle triangle AKB, where KB is given by D divided by tan theta. To find LB, you can consider the green triangle DLB. The angle at point D is also theta. So, and the height is nothing but D. So I can write LB is equal to D tan of theta. So I will get value of AD as D by tan theta minus D tan theta. So if I substitute this in the equation of S2 and simplify, I will get S2 equal to D cos square theta minus sin square theta divided by sin theta. So if we put the values of S1 and S2 in the equation or the phase condition, that is 2 pi by lambda n1 s1 minus s2 plus 2 delta equal to m pi, and if we simplify we will get the final equation or condition for the sustained constructive interference 2 pi n1 d sin theta by lambda plus delta is equal to m pi. Here m can take only integer values 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 and so on. So if I want to find what is the angle theta, we can find using this equation. So the significance of this equation is that only those rays which are incident within the acceptance cone and the angle of refraction in the core satisfies this condition can only propagate through the fiber. So if we see in the equation of theta that m can take only discrete number of values. So that indicates this theta will also have only discrete values. Theta cannot take any number of values. For example, if I put m equal to 0, I will get one angle, let's say theta 1. Then if I put m equal to 1, then its value will be theta 2. I will get another angle. I am not putting any value between 0 to 1, and hence this theta also will not have those values. Theta can take values which depends on value of m, and since m can take only discrete values, theta also can take only discrete values. So this suggests that there are only some discrete launching angles within the acceptance cone for which the ray can propagate inside the fiber. If we visualize this, you can get the clear idea what we are saying. Inside this core, there are only finite or discrete number of angles. So when m equal to 0, I will get one particular angle. When m equal to 1, I will get another angle. M equal to 2, I will get another angle. That is m equal to 0, m equal to 1, m equal to up to m equal to n. Definitely, the ray must strike within the acceptance cone or numerical aperture cone. Any ray which strikes outside this cone will not propagate through the fiber. So, for example, if I consider m equal to 0 corresponds to theta equal to 10 degree, m equal to 1 corresponds to theta equal to 20 degree, m equal to 2 corresponds to theta equal to 30 degree, then the ray which incident at 10 degree, 20 degree and 30 degree can only propagate through the fiber. If any ray incidents that makes angle 15 degree, it is not going to propagate through the fiber even if it is within the numerical aperture of the fiber. So, the number of different values of m signifies the number of different possible launching angles which can successfully propagate through the optical fiber. So we can say that light can be launched at certain discrete angles within the numerical aperture cone. Any light ray that is not launched at these angles will not propagate inside fiber core. So this leads to the formation of modes inside optical fiber core, which are nothing but the patterns of light intensity distributions around the fiber axis. So in next lecture we will discuss the modes in more detail. Thank you.